Hello, my name is Cam Brandon. I'll be going over Module 9, Case Study, When Ethics and Policies Collide, AEP 855. Section 1 summarizes the case, establishes the facts. Students Richard and David have both been arrested. They are charged with possession of a prohibited weapon. They had brass knuckles on school property. Both students will face expulsion for such offense. The offense occurred during normal working hours, school during regular school hours, at Rocket Junior High. Who's involved in the situation? First year assistant principal Richard Inman at Rocket Junior High. James, 15-year-old student. His mother, of course. David Ramos, 13-year-old student, and his mother, school police officer, and the director of secondary education. What do the parties involved have to say about it? James confesses to forcing Dave to hold the brass knuckles for him. The school police officer is doing his job, makes the arrest. He feels obligated to do so, so he proceeds with arresting both students. The assistant principal believes that David should not be arrested, believes he is the victim in the situation, and he refuses to file the expulsion papers. The director of education, secondary education, he directs Richard to file the expulsion papers or face written reprimand. Section 2, report any legal or ethical issues. Has anyone been harmed? I believe James' actions caused emotional harm to David and will probably have a negative impact on his future. And the district may also will probably expel David and James from school for the violation. Does the action or the situation contravene an existing law? Yes, having a weapon on campus on school property, definitely a big no-no. And zero tolerance. The board has zero tolerance on that policy, on that violation. So, 45 days into the district's disciplinary alternative action program as part of the penalty, along with expulsion. Was there a breach of contract? Richard, he needs to file the paperwork. He's violating district policy. Uh, he really doesn't have an option but to file the expulsion paperwork on David. James bullied and threatened David with physical harm. And we're not too sure about the director of secondary education. He may have behaved unethically by threatening Richard with an official reprimand. I'm not sure really where he fits into the chain of command with Richard. Synthesize exactly what has happened. Faced with an ethical dilemma, Assistant Principal Richard Inman must decide whether to do what is in the student's best interest or face reprimand. So he has a choice to make. Section 4, synthesize the facts. First year assistant principal Richard Inman at Rocket High School. He's from the South Side, pretty much the same area where James and David live at this point. James is a 15-year-old student. He's kind of rough around the edges. He hangs around with a group of troubled students. He's the leader of that group. And his mother has been made aware of the situation, but she doesn't seem too concerned about James' behavior. David Ramos, he's an honor student, scholar type of young man. He's in the band, no past record of poor behavior. And his mother is pretty concerned. She's actually angry about the situation. And the school police officer, he's focused on doing his job. He's not too concerned about any gray areas, who's right or wrong. He just knows the brass knuckles they were found on David, and he has to proceed with making an arrest. The director of secondary education, he's focused on enforcing the policy. He wants the policy to be enforced regardless of the situation. And it's a public junior high school, about 900 students. Don't really say whether it's urban, suburban, or rural type school. I didn't really take away what type of school it was. Section 5, review and prioritize the information. Could the conflict, the situation, or decision be damaging to the stakeholders or the community? The situation will definitely damage David's future as academic and legal. It'll also impact James also. Hopefully James will get on the right track after this. Richard's future as an administrator could be in jeopardy, facing an official reprimand. And the stakeholders will take a close look at the district and the district policies, and they will be concerned about is the district acting in the best interest of the students. What individuals and groups have an important stake in the outcome. The outcome will impact the district and the students. The district must take a look at this zero tolerance policy, and students will be, they'll be watching to see what the outcome is, to see if the punishment will be fair and equal. The result may also impact Richard's career, of course, with the reprimand, being officially reprimanded. Have all relevant stakeholders been consulted? Yes, everyone's been consulted, made aware of the situation, the parents, the district, the principal, all stakeholders have been consulted in this situation. Can I learn more about the situation? Yes, I would like to know a little bit more about the policy on arresting students on campus. Uh, where does the director of secondary education fit into the chain of command? Like I said before, can he reprimand Richard legally? I'm not too sure about that. Seems like he's at another. He's not in Richard's direct chain of command, but I'm not really sure about that. Do I know enough to make the decision? Yes, enough information has been provided to make a sound ethical decision. I believe punishing David is not the right thing to do, and with serious investigation, I believe he will be cleared of any wrongdoing. Section 6, identify your options and possible consequences. What could I do in this situation? First thing to consider, not making any decision or taking no action. If I chose not to take any action, I would likely be reprimanded, and I'm pretty sure another administrator would probably file the paperwork, the expulsion paperwork. The second most comprehensive action, the most comprehensive action I might take is to file the expulsion paperwork along with my recommendation. I believe filing the paperwork will keep me out of trouble as far as being reprimanded. So, but I would also supply my recommendation as far as what I think should be done. I also like to go before the board, make sure my concerns are taken into consideration. My recommendation is not just thrown to the side. Board could deny my request to meet, although that's highly unlikely. They will probably give me that opportunity to speak on behalf of the student. As far as intermediate strategies, getting the community involved, media coverage, legal help for the family, getting the media involved in these type of situations usually puts a little pressure to do the right thing or do what's best for the student. Of course, that would bring possible backlash from the district. One resource or reference from the past past assignments that I found very interesting that applies to this situation here. Collaborating with community agencies, organizations, and individuals in order to advance students' best interests without regard to personal reward or remuneration. Remuneration was one of I pronounced that wrong, but that's applies to the situation, I believe. All right, moving on. Section 7, evaluate your options. The first option that I consider, uh, take no action. Of course, the pros of that, I feel good about the situation, doing the right thing, taking the student's best interest into consideration. The cons, expulsion process for David will more likely continue. I don't think it will stop with me. There's plenty of people along the way in the chain of command that can process the paperwork for David's expulsion. The second most comprehensive thing I could do, covered that. Following the paperwork prevents me from being reprimanded. A strong recommendation against expelling David may help, but my voice definitely would be heard. Cons involving the media may not go over well with the district. So, uh, media being spotlighted by the media probably won't go over well with the district. Intermediate strategies, the pros and cons of that, my choice for that, getting the community involved, media coverage, legal help for the family. Pros, pressure applied by the community, media, and lawyers would probably help David out in this situation. Cons, and my actions may result in me getting fired. So definitely a con there. Section 8, choose the best option. Under these circumstances, I would decide to file the disclosure paperwork along with my recommendation, request a meeting with the board to make sure my voice is heard. Definitely follow district protocols, keeping all stakeholders informed of my intentions. I believe due to extenuating circumstances, David's outstanding record, exemplary record, he will probably receive a favorable outcome. Any serious investigation will prove that David was more than likely the victim in the situation. Of course, advocating for David may put my career at risk, and people may ask, "Is it worth it?" Uh, I say, if you don't have the moral courage to stand up for students like David, you're probably in the wrong business. So, you know, students like David are the ones we want to advocate for to make sure they get a good deal. All right, the final decision is not mine to make, no matter what the outcome. I will be able to look myself in the mirror and say I did the right thing. Another resource from my previous assignments. Eventually, each decision-making attitude toward moral and ethical decision-making establishes a school leader's character and generates their respect, integrity, and reputation among all stakeholders in the school community. Tyler, 2014. So I believe that pretty much sums up how I feel about the situation and making the right choice as far as David's best interest. Section 9, imagine implementing your decision. I chose to go through the formal process following the district policy that will keep me out of trouble. The first step, of course, is filing the paperwork with the recommendation against expelling David. Like I said, that will limit the threat of being reprimanded. The second step would be to go before the board, the district board, state my case against expelling David. During the process, keep everyone informed, all stakeholders informed, including the parents, both parents. Once the board renders the final decision, that will be the end of my efforts. There's no plan B. At that point, due process. Had a chance to go through the process and due process. And the board made a decision, and that's that. Hopefully, they'll make a good decision for David. As far as reflection, this was a good case study. It tied in a lot of the previous lessons, previous assignments that we've had. A lot of the references from the previous assignments came into play, so I was referring a lot to some of the previous references. So some of the takeaways that I got from previous references that apply to this case study. The professional educator acts in the best interest of all students, protecting students from any practice that harms or has the potential to harm students. And the second one here, the professional educator promotes effective and appropriate relationships with the community and stakeholders by advocating for policies and laws that the educator supports as promoting the education and well-being of students and families. Although you may disagree with the policy, you still have to maintain that professional and appropriate relationship with the district and chain of command. While there are strong arguments on basing decisions on standards to maintain consistency for all students and staff, school leaders should exercise their moral and ethical character, be aware of all circumstances, and should be free to choose from options including standards to make the most fair and ethical decision that is in the best interests of students. Tyler, 2014. And I believe that last one there pretty much sums it up. This whole case study here. So, with that being said, that completes my review of this case study. Thank you very much. And there was our references right there.